Next is like the man that I want to be when I grow up. Mr. Ryan Coogler, writer, director, bad boy. Hey Ryan. Look at him dapper today, isn't he? He's ready for y'all. Okay, it gives me great pleasure to introduce this next man to you because I've been a fan since back in the day. Everybody please welcome Forrest Whitaker! He's so distinguished. And next, I mean, what else do I need to say? But please welcome Angela Bassett. Here she comes. She's coming. All right. I feel like I need drums. Here she is. Hey, Angela. I love it. I feel like I need drums or like a beat or like a hand clap or something because I'm about to introduce to you all the king. Okay? Are you ready? Everybody, please give a lot of love to Chadwick Boseman! All right. Okay, we're gonna keep this thing moving and don't boo him, clap for him when he comes out here, okay? I'm not kidding. Everybody give love for Michael B. Jordan! Last night, I almost passed out when she walked onto my platform at the premiere. She had this purple Atelier Versace dress on, and talk about regal. God! Everybody, please say hello to Lupita Nyong'o! And we can't have Lupita without her soul sister. Everybody, please welcome Denai Guerrera! Now, I want to take a special moment to introduce this one to you because I just need Hollywood to please say hello to Letitia Wright. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? By the way, who in here seen the movie? Right. Give some love to that for this movie. Okay, we got to give this man a lot of love because he's doing it big this movie, but he's also a Best Actor nominee at the Oscars this year. So please give a lot of love to Daniel. Hi, Daniel. All right, we're filling in here. Andy Serkis, keep on coming. Give love, guys. Maniacal, crazy, and I love everything about it. All right, please say hello, everyone, to Martin Freeman. And last but certainly not least, I mean, he takes up the room, so we had to save him for last, everyone. Please welcome Winston Duke. All right, okay, let's give love to your cast of Black Panther. All right, y'all ready to talk?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I'm still trying to get my life together after last night. I don't know about you guys. I went to bed in the land of Wakanda. I woke up still in the land of Wakanda. I could not get this movie off my mind when I saw it. And I know you guys were so excited. Lupita, when they were introducing you all last night before the screening started, you did like this little dance, like of excitement. I felt like she can barely contain herself. She's so excited. What was going through your mind and how are you feeling when you knew the lights were about to go down and we were about to experience Black Panther?
I mean, I'd been waiting a long time. And I was just so excited because this was a movie that we all felt a lot of ownership of and that we thoroughly enjoyed making. And you know, when you make a movie like this, of this scale, so much happens between the time you perform it and the time you see it, you know. All the computer graphics stuff. Wakanda was built in a room with Ryan and the incredible design team, you know. And so to see it alive, to see it almost like three-dimensional was what I was looking forward to. And of course, to see it with everyone.
It was amazing. It really was. Chadwick, I asked you this last night. There was something that surprised me. I didn't know. I said to you, when you got the call to play Black Panther in Civil War, did you know what was gonna happen? And you said, oh yeah, I knew, you just didn't know. But I love that, so you always knew this was going to happen.
Can you hear me? Okay, yeah, I had to make sure, because the initial phone call from Kevin Feige, with the Esposito, Nate Moore, and the Russo brothers was one where they essentially said, we want to bring your character into the Marvel comic universe as a standalone, but this is the best way to introduce him in Civil War. So I was aware of it, and I think when I was shooting Civil War, I was not aware that other people weren't aware that this was going to happen, because it was such at the forefront of my mind. You know, when we did the introduction to El Capitan. So I'm sorry that you didn't know that. But at the same time, I love the fact that it's a surprise to people.
Yeah. Kevin, why Chadwick for Black Panther?
I think you hear people say this all the time when you're in a setting like this, but he was the only choice.
Really?
We were, it may not have been this fast, but in my memory, we were sitting around a table, we were coming up with a story for Civil War. Nate Moore, executive producer, suggested bringing in Black Panther because we were looking for sort of a third party who wouldn't necessarily side with Cap or side with Iron Man. And almost instantly we all said Chadwick. And in my memory, although maybe it was the next day, we got him on a speakerphone right then. And he was in the back of a limo, and where were you?
We were in Zurich,
yeah,
Zurich. And I was coming off of the red carpet for Get On Up. And my agent was like, you got to get on the phone. And the crazy thing is, I didn't even have international calling on my phone until that morning. And I literally heard something say, hey, get international on your phone, call your mom. It's some important stuff, literally, that happened and that night.
And it was born. I love, this movie has been trying to be made for so long. I don't believe in coincidences, so even though I know some people would have liked to have seen it gotten made a long time ago, this was the time for this movie to be made with this cast, with this director, right here. I mean, you did something special, Ryan. I know you were really nervous and excited, but once you saw it last night and you heard the response from the audience, what did you think?
Oh man, I felt I just felt incredibly blessed, you know, to have the opportunity to make the film this way, to make the film with this studio, you know, working with Kevin and his team, Victoria Alonso, Rudy Esposito, and Nate Moore, which I was just talking about. It's been like just an incredible opportunity, man. It's not something I ever imagined, you know, would happen.
Right.
And then to be able to work with some of my mentor, and people who I've watched, you know, for my whole life, and some friends that I've made through this process. I mean, it was incredible. When I had like 50 of my family members there, all from the Bay Area, and they were like talking at the screen.
But that's the good stuff, though, right?
I just felt really fortunate, you know, more than anything, I really feel fortunate for the opportunity.
I told you this last night, but it was 5 years ago, right about now, that I met you when you came to Sundance and you were doing Fruitvale Station. You were talking about Fruitvale Station. No one knew who you were. I remember you, Forrest, Michael B. Jordan, all of you all, and it was like, Forrest, I remember you saying, like, this man is the truth. Like, just wait till you see what he's going to be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it from the moment that I met him. I mean, when he started to express himself, and I could feel like the center of, you know, what he wanted to communicate to the world, and how he wanted to touch the world, and really it was a really powerful thing to see. And I think when he started to talk to me about his ideas, at that time, he was in school, I remember thinking, you know, this person, if he's given the right space, is gonna, you know, do something to change, you know, our lives in some way. And I thought that Fruitvale was that thing, that was the thing that he suggested, one of the projects he had. Really believed in it. And I was fortunate enough that he felt comfortable with us, like producing that for him and working with him on it. It's, for me, I'm just blown away, you know, just watching his growth every time, just seeing how he's able to just manifest so much importance, you know, in socially relevant moments inside of things that we want to sit and watch. And so it's been quite a powerful experience for me last night to
Yeah.
watch that.
Yeah, Michael, I see you nodding your head, and I feel like this movie had so much intention. And when I saw that last night, that I think is what sat with me the most. Because I think I had a little bit of faux hype when I first got on the red carpet. I was like, okay, am I ready? But when I saw the movie, I'm like, oh, okay. This is what it means to feel good about who you are and what you look like, and celebrating blackness and oneness and family and culture and all of that. Do you agree, Michael?
No, I definitely agree. Last night was the first time I saw the film, and I think I had a little bit of that. I called Ryan, the night before, and or the day before, day of, and I was like, man, I'm anxious, I'm nervous, man. I don't know, kind of like what to expect. Man, he said, look, man, just look at it and try to be a fan, just watch it. You know what I'm saying? And try to enjoy the movie. And in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, that's never gonna happen. But I'm gonna try. And when I sat down with my family, and this family, and the audience, and I had that same type of reaction. I was like, man, this is what it feels like. There's nothing that I couldn't describe that feeling before actually sitting down and watching that film. And seeing yourself on screen, not me personally, but people that look like you, and power, and having those, socially relevant, themes, but in a movie that you want to sit down and watch and you can enjoy that Marvel does so well. So I think it was a really good balance, and everybody won. Everybody did amazing jobs and performances, and it was an incredible film last night.
I've never had empathy for a bad boy before, so just so you know, happened last night. This goes to Angela, Letitia, Denai, and Lupita. This film is Black Panther, but I feel like it really could have been called The Badass Women of Wakanda. So thank you, Ryan, for that, because ladies, I was so proud and so excited, and the woman next to me literally turned to me last night and said, why are you smiling so big? And I was like, because look at these women, look at them. I mean, how proud were you all to look on the screen and see yourselves in that last night? What are you two laughing about? We need to separate these.
No, because we were like in a dark theater.
So just so you know, my nickname growing up was Kool-Aid because they said I had a Kool-Aid grin. I was! But we were close last night in that theater too.
Alright, we're gonna stop messing around. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's get back to the ladies.
Yes, let's do that.
Giving props to the ladies of Wakanda. But how proud of you all were to see yourselves up, being so powerful and so beautiful and so regal on that screen. Yeah.
Extraordinarily so, and so pleased that this story, written by Ryan and Jericho and Marvel, that it supported that. In African culture, they feel as if there is no king without a queen, and I think in this story it highlights the queen, the warrior, the general, the young sister, So I was so proud to have my daughter and my son there last night, because in their faces and in their spirit, that they were feeling themselves, and they stood taller after last night.
And there were fully developed female characters too, and a lot of times in movies, and sometimes, comics have a kind of weird history sometimes with female characters. These were fully developed women in this movie, which I loved. Yeah, you guys are like just nodding your head, yes.
Yeah, okay, I'll talk. When Ryan sat me down and talked to me about his vision and the story and the characters and the women, I was just floored, because you don't actually get to hear that often. You don't actually get sat down and hear that type of a vision. And then it embodied with us being on the continent, women from the continent, but very developed, very complex. It was amazing. I mean, it was just like, this is something I was like, I just want to watch it. I get to be in it. I just want to watch this. And then, it was amazing, the idea of, with the Dora Milaje, the whole the concept of them, and then to see them come to life, and then these astounding women who I started training with, and you know, one by one, like I was the first one to get my head shaved, you know, in theory it sounded amazing, you know, and then the day, and I'm like, wait, today? And then like, you know, it happened. And then like I walk in, like you know, you go into the restroom to wash your hands, and you look up, and you're like, what the? You know, that took a few days, and then all the girls start coming in, like we'd all been balding, you know, one by one, you know, and just like everybody got their caps on, and then then the pride started to grow, you know, this pride around it, and the sort of embracing of this sort of symbol of power in these women, and then the beauty of how he wrote that moment. I loved that moment where she like doesn't want a wig. Mm-hmm. She doesn't want to cover. This is her joy, her pride is in walking with that bald head with that tattoo on it, you know? And I was like, and I was like, it was so subversive, you know? And it's so subversive in the right way to say that's not necessarily beauty. You don't have to have hair to be beautiful.
No, this is beauty, right here.
So I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
There's so many great things I could say about how Ryan developed these women characters and allowed us to collaborate that I feel really blessed about. And
well, y'all had me in the gym at 6 o'clock this morning. I'm not even kidding, not Instagram, but I said, I'm trying to get like Lupita. I know we got a lot of questions out in the audience. I know you guys have questions, and I want to get to yours too, because I can sit here and talk to them all day, but I know they want to hear from the fans and from people who haven't seen the film and who have seen the film. So do we have runners with microphones around? Okay, so who's got questions? Everybody's hand, I know, is going to go up. All right, so I'm going to let you with the microphone just go to the first person you can get to, because the lights are kind of blinding, so I can't see all that well out there. Stand up, tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Cynthia from Kinda Silly Mommy.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hi, so I saw the movie last night with my 9-year-old daughter, and she loved it.
Yeah.
And she was like, these girls are so cool, Mom. I said badass, she said cool. Whatever. She had a question for Letitia. She wanted to know what your favorite weapon or gadget was, because she thought that was so cool.
Man, bless you guys for coming and supporting. My favorite gadget would definitely be, I created all of them.
Yeah, you did.
I think T'Challa's suit's quite beautiful. But I think the gauntlets is pretty dope, because that's her personal little thing. And yeah, it's got like vibranium in it, and it's just her little like, you know, like backup, like kitty cat paws. And she grabs them out, she does some damage. So I love those. So tell her to, you know, I'll make her a future one.
By the way, if I had to pick a character, it would be Shuri. I would want to be Shuri. I really would.
I would want to be denied.
Would you?
Oh, did you guys see the?
Oh yeah, she bad, y'all. For that But seriously, I mean, she's so smart. She's like the brains behind the whole operation. She's young. It's so cool to see that. Chadwick, and you think she's smarter than Black Panther?
I allow.
What I love about it as well, with how it was written, is that the men are always behind the women as well. So no one's like undermined. Like the men are not like, you know, you shouldn't be in technology and you shouldn't be in maths. They're like, no, go ahead. Like, so T'Challa is like, go ahead, sis. This is your department. This is your domain. Like, kill it. And then I'm gonna work with you to finalize it, because he's dope. But then it's like, okay, like, just do your thing, stay in your lane, and then, you know. But he's just that's a mentality of a king, and that's brilliant. So everybody's got their own lane.
Yeah.
But she's cooler than him, but not smarter than him. but she's still. I'm talking about cancel about the king.
I want to speak to that.
Yeah.
Real quick. I think when you talk about what Wakanda is and what it would have to be in order to progress to the place that we saw, even though we're talking about a fantasy, The idea of an unconquered nation that has not been, tampered with by the various means that it would have been tampered with. The idea of the next generation being smarter, being better than you, is a concept that they would have evolved to. That, so even though we're in the same generation, she's my younger sister, she benefits from whatever I have reached. So you want your sons and daughters to be better than you were. So that concept is a Wakandan concept, I think.
Wow.
that is
I never thought about it like that, but that's so true.
So, my older siblings, they raised me. And so, to a certain degree, mine say, I allow it. I don't mean it like, I'm meaning it like you see the genius that is inside the people that come after you. And if you have an ancestral realm, they're looking at you like, I know you're looking up to me, but we're looking up to you. And that is an African concept.
We want to take another question, and while we're getting to that person, it's so, like the line that you have to walk in this film to make this blockbuster, big budget Marvel film, but also keep those themes and go deep and really make a film that has some meaning. That's tough to do. So where did you, or how do you kind of try to balance that off?
I think it was. It's something that I actually like talking about because, for me, I grew up loving comic books. I love not just comic books, but I love pop culture. I love toys, action figures, video games, all that stuff. When I got older and got in that, and realized I wanted to make movies, around that time I fell in love with international cinema and cinema that left you with something to chew on, with something to think about, But I never fell out of love with those types of films, those types of stories. And I think the best versions of those stories, do both things. And for me, when I came and sat down with Marvel, after speaking with Nate a little bit over the phone and meeting him, and I was very honest with Kevin. And you think of Marvel like this big huge studio, it's like, oh man, like the biggest studio in the world right now, but it's really just Kevin and his two friends.
It's like the Wizard of Oz, it's Richard Pryor behind
and it's these two really smart people who are, Louis D'Esposito, Victoria Alonso, and on this film it was Nate. They're all very different from each other. And Kevin's kind of at the head of this, and I told him, I said, I want to make a film that works, but on every level that you guys films work on, and I want to make it with these themes. I kind of had these themes in mind, and he was like, great, let's go. What I mean? Like I was like, I didn't expect that, But as I got to know these guys, specifically Kevin, this is what he's all about. You know what I mean? He's all about make it something that entertains people, that works as a piece of entertainment, but leaves you with something to think about. He was very encouraging. Like I was getting notes while we were working on this, and then make it more specific, make it more personal.
Really?
It's real.
There are a couple scenes I wondered when you shot them because they're very relevant to the world today. I'm like, was that a reshoot? Did they go back? Did they know? Like,
Coincidence.
What'd you say, Chadwick?
Coincidence.
Okay, couple more out here.
Hi, Lupe with Cinemovie. This film is pretty radical. The whole time I was watching it, I was really enjoying it.
Oh, cool.
Oh, there you are.
So for Ryan and Kevin, when I was watching this film, I was so entertained, but at the same time I was thinking, man, Marvel let them go there? Cool. So can you talk about, how far did you want to take it? And Kevin being, the man, keeping it at a level where it's not too radical, but at the same time, you're presenting a lot of very relevant social themes like isolationism and a lot of societal issues.
Well, I think it's happened with the comics, it's happened with the movie. Ryan wrote this for the most part, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So things have happened in the world which make the film seem more relevant. There are other things in the films that have been relevant for centuries. But the truth of the matter is, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and the whole Marvel bullpen created Wakanda and created T'Challa and created Black Panther and made him a smarter, more accomplished character than any of the other white characters in the mid-1960s. So they have the guts to do that in the mid-1960s. The least we can do is live up to that and allow this story to be told the way it needs to be told, and not shy away from things that the Marvel founders didn't shy away from in the height of the civil rights era.
Did Wakanda turn out looking like you guys thought it would look in your mind's eye? It did for me. Anybody? Bueller.
It exceeded
anyone, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I getting a chance to look at some of the concept art pretty earlier on, and the photos and the graphic art and whatnot. It was nothing could have prepared us for what we saw. We got a little glimpse of it, but to actually see it, on screen, fully rendered, and the completed, project, it was incredible. It was mind blowing. It was really cool to look at.
I think what was really fascinating and almost very emotional for me, being that I'm Zimbabwean and I'm American, but I'm Zimbabwean, and being that that's something that you always kind of want. You see the power and the potential of where you're from, but you see how skewed it's viewed by the world and how misrepresented it is. And how distorted it is or received by the world so often. So to see, this is kind of the answer to it's kind of a salve to those wounds, to see this world brought to life this way, and to see all the potential and power of all the different African culturalisms and aspects of our beings that was celebrated. And it's so different, it subverts things that we've been seeing forever around the continent, that we see when we're there. We see beauty, we see power, we see potential, we see ability, we see resources, but they're never exhibited. And then to put it on the sort of a Marvel epic scale of exhibition, it really salves wounds in a really deep way.
All right, questions? Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Cameron, the little girl. I'm from Sci-Fi Wire. So I have some geeky questions for you, Ryan. What comic books did you pull from? Because this is like the modern runs, it feels like, that you kind of seem to be influenced by. So is it like Christopher Priest's run, or Reginald Hudlin's, or Ta-Nehisi Coates? Which comics did you kind of pull from to develop these characters?
We actually pull from all of them. We pull from like pretty much. You can go through our films. It's something in there probably from every writer that has touched T'Challa's character in the Black Panther comics. From Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's initial runs through Don McGregor, Christopher Priest, Reginald Hudlin, Jonathan Hickman, and Ta-Nehisi Coates and Brian Stelfree's run was a big part of it as well. So we kind of grab from all of the characters. Got a long history, and it's such rich. Such rich stuff to mine, and each kind of writer kind of left their own mark, on it. Like Claude been around for a long time, but for instance, Agent Ross was invented by Christopher Priest in that run, and Shuri's character was invented by Reginald Hudlin in his run. So each run they kind of leaves something for us to pull from, but we pull from absolutely all of them.
All right. More questions? Yeah.
Right over here.
Great. Hello.
Hi. My name is Cadet. I'm with Black Girl Nerds. I'm going to throw a question to Bilbo and Golem. I'm just kind of saw him hiding over there.
Crazy.
I just wanted to ask. You're in this incredible experience with all of this African talent, African descendants talent, actors behind the cameras, crew. How did that, or will it, you think, affect your worldview and your view as artists from, your culture, basically?
Actually, we were just talking about it earlier on. It was very funny because you reminded me of a story of Ryan saying, saying to us before we were about to do our scene, Ryan came up to us and said, you know, I've never actually directed 2 white actors before. Yeah, probably not, you know, probably not. I mean, it was hilarious, it was kind of hilarious, but at the same time it was just like, fuck, that's tragic. It was kind of insane, kind of like weird, but it really was, I mean, it was an incredible experience working with Ryan. He's one of the most brilliant, you know, wonderful, warm, humble, incredibly clever, articulate, visionary directors, and just to be part of this was just, well, for me, I mean, I don't know how you felt.
I hated it.
Did you?
I felt good. Yeah. No, it was, of course, yes, I agree. I was joking.
No, it was just an incredible experience, and you know, to be part of it was, and I just think this film's so important, and to be able to be part of something that is so groundbreaking, and yes, should have been made many years ago, you know, but now is the time, and now is a brilliant time because things are changing rapidly in every single aspect of filmmaking, and so it should, the needle should swing right the other way because we need to really change things.
Back of the room? Okay.
Congratulations, guys. An incredible job. WLI is behind the lens. Ryan, I just have to tell you, your production values, off the charts. Your team delivered for you. But I want to ask Martin, you get to have a role that we've seen with other people, such as Clark Gregg in the Marvel Universe, morph into something great. You really morph here. Can you talk about the experience of being Agent Ross and actually becoming a hero in his own right?
That's true.
Yeah, no, that was lovely. And I'd spoken to Ryan a bit about that in the process before filming, and we both agreed that we didn't want him just to be a schmuck. You know, we didn't want him just to be just a sort of comic foil. That it needs to be a little bit more 3D than that. And I was very pleased when I was reading, you know, bits of the script and then new bits of the script that were coming that were making him more empathetic and more sympathetic and a bit more can-do, you know, because it's not Agent Ross's film by a long way, but he plays his part in it, you know, and there is a sort of ambivalence about Ross, I think, you know, because you're not quite sure if he's going to be down with T'Challa or not, but he ends up having his eyes opened by this country that he knew nothing about, and a civilization that he knew nothing about, and realising that it had something to offer, and that he went away learning a bit from it, you know. So I was very pleased that Ross had his kind of moment of heroism at the end, you know. He gets in his plane and he gets to help out. He has his little Han Solo moment. So I was really pleased, and I thought that was generous on the film's part, and I thought it was, because like Andy says, you know, that we're not short of white heroes in movies, you know, so I thought to give one of the 2 white characters a bit of a heroic moment, I thought it spoke very well of them, actually.
Ooh. All right. Have we had any from the front of the room yet? Okay. Now we were just about to.
Hi everyone, my name is Ari Adams. I'm from Love, Peace, and Tiny Feet. Congratulations on a wonderful, wonderful movie. And I can say as a Liberian, a first-generation Liberian American, I felt that pride seeing this movie, because it's definitely not the Africa I grew up seeing on TV. My question is for you, Chadwick. I read that it was especially important for you to have Black Panther speaking in an African accent. Can you elaborate on that a little bit as far as your thought process and why it was so important?
Wow, that's a lot. I try to be as quick as possible. You know, I think as actors, this is separate from the movie, but when you're trained very often from a European perspective. What is considered great or classical is very often British, and it's certain writers And I happen to come from a background that does not believe that. You know, I went to Oxford to study, but I went to Howard. And we were taught to respect our writers and our classics just as much, and believe that it takes the same skill level and same technique, and sometimes techniques that are a little bit different, to pull that off. And so I think you have to tell the stories and be true to yourself as an artist. And in this, there's no reason, you know, because there was a time period where people would ask me questions about whether or not an audience could sit through a movie with a lead character who spoke with that accent, you know. And it was not Kevin, by the way, so just making sure you know that. People outside of Marvel as well. And so I became adamant about the fact that that is not true. That the intonations and melodies inside of an African accent are just as classical as a British one or a European one. And that all of the emotions and aspects of a character can be shown, and expressions can be shown through that accent, and we have to take this opportunity to show that. And he just wouldn't, if he had never been conquered, if his ancestors had never been conquered, and he's never been conquered, and Wakanda is what it is, he doesn't have to go to Oxford to study. He doesn't have to go to Cambridge or Yale or any place to study. He actually got his education at home, and he would not then assimilate a language that is the colonizer's language in order to speak to his people. So he had to speak with an African accent.
Okay, I have time for one, maybe two more questions, depending on how quick they are. So where are we going, right over here? Okay.
Hi, Brooke Obi with Guideposts. You'll have to forgive me, I've been crying for the past like 12 hours. Y'all are so beautiful. This movie is so beautiful. You should be so proud. I think the main morality issue of this movie is whether you can self-preserve and also save the world. Like, there is a cost. And so I'm wondering if that's how you all feel, that if you were going to be able to save masses of people, that there would be a significant cost to self or risk to self, and how you feel about that. Anybody can answer. Thank you.
We haven't heard from Daniel.
Hello. That's a very deep question. It's a good question for you because you were born in that. I mean, that's Wakabi's battle. He kind of feels like of what I believe, I feel. Please say that again. I need to understand.
Do you believe that there is a cost to yourself if you're going to go and try and save the world? Because I know that Wakanda has been able to be what it is because they have put self-preservation first. And the threat is that Wakanda will not be the same, that vibranium is going to be used against them. So understanding, like with his character, that you may risk something to yourself, but it's worth doing.
100%, because you don't know where that grows, what that grows into. One of the things that drew me to this film was a conversation with Ryan talking about Katanga, which is a district in Congo, which I thought was the inverse of Wakanda, where it's like this area where it's like it's got so much resources, but it sacrificed itself for the benefit of the whole world. And if you give a little, what does that lead into? You know, and Wakanda's been kind of like, it's us, it's for us, it's for us. And I do feel like, and I feel that we have that as artists, as creative beings. You step into a certain point, and I feel everyone in this room has that way. You're giving yourself onto it, and then it's a sacrifice you make, there's a compromise you make. You can't move around, you can't do certain things, but if the cause is just enough, and there's good and bad in every situation. And that's what's amazing about this film for me, was that there's no right decision. There's just a take. I feel there's
there's just love. It's like whether you do things in a loving way. And I find this is a film that's a lot, well, to me, when I watched it last night, it's about grief and what you decide in grief and how you decide to handle grief, especially between T'Challa and Killmonger. How they decided to handle that death that they got through means that they're different people, but they come from the same root. You know, the pain is the same root, and that shows the testament of T'Challa's character and why he is what he is, and Killmonger can't overcome that for whatever reason, because he's in an environment where the pain is visceral, because he's in the Western world, and it's constant reminders of worthlessness at times, and so yeah, that's for me. It was like, I don't think there's a right and wrong. I just think is the cause just, and if the cause is just, you just do what you need to do. And then sometimes there's sacrifices, but there's also sacrifices if you don't do it. And that's the debate and the battle that we're putting out there, and everyone makes their own decisions.
Absolutely. I love that. And by the way, one of your scenes in the film, for me, stuck with me so because I felt like, oh, this is what a measure of a man is, and showing what real strength is without having to wield a sword. I was done in that scene, so thank you for that. Okay. Oh, do we have, okay, I was told that was the last question, but do we have time for one more? Anyone? One more? Okay.
Hi.
Thank you. Last one. Last question, guys.
Hi, this is Kathy with Bel Air Mommy, and long live the king. The movie was absolutely outstanding. To the women, it was a powerful sight to see such amazing women being badasses and not being apologetic for who they are. And to the women, I'd love to know what would you like little girls to walk away with, because you are a symbol of power. You're a symbol of being who you are, and do not apologize and don't dumb yourself down. So please tell me what you would like, what you would like everyone to walk away with.
Well, I would say what I love about the way this film represents women is that each and every one of us is an individual, unique, and we all have our own sense of power and our own agency, and we hold our own space without being pitted against each other. And I think that's a very, very powerful message to send to children, both male and female. This idea, I think oftentimes in movies we fall into that trap where women, there's very few of us, and then we are against each other, there's a competitive spirit and stuff like that. And this film frees us of that, and we see women going about their business and supporting each other, even arguing with each other, you know, having different points of view, but still not being against each other. And I think that's extremely important. And in so doing, the fact that in this film there's so many of us, we really get a sense of the fabric of Wakanda as a nation. And we see women alongside men, and we see how much more effective a society can be if they allow women to explore their full potential.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One more, just to add to that, speaking for some folks that were involved with the film who aren't here to speak for themselves, this film had involvement from brilliant women all over it, from start to finish. You know, as I said, you know, Kevin runs the studio, but he does it with his right and left hand, and you know, his right hand is Lou D'Esposito, but his left hand is a woman named Victoria Alonso, who's amazing, and she was there from day one. And our crew was just you know, hired with women who were the best person for the job. You know, they weren't hired because they were women; they were hired because they were the best for the job. And that was our cinematographer, Rachel Morrison, our costume designer, Ruth Carter, our production designer, Hannah Deacon, and our first assistant director, who was responsible for getting everything going, Lisa Satriano. You know, and in post-production, you know, this film was edited by Michael Shaver and Debbie Berman, who's from South Africa. you know, and finished by Victoria Alonso, but you know, throughout that process, and you know, it was a constant thing where, you know, Victoria would raise her hand sometimes when we were in the script meeting, like, yo, I don't think that should happen. It was like, oh, okay. You know, you zig where you should zag, and working with these amazing women. But I mean, I thought that the set was just, you know, I was incredibly blessed to have these people, have their perspectives and have their fingerprints all over it. When you saw those frames, when you saw all that stuff, you know, that presence, that's, you know, what is it, over half of the society, over half of the population, you know what I'm saying? It was there constantly and there in full effect.
Well, you see what happens when your set reflects America, what you can do, right?
Yep.
All right. Thank you, guys. We could sit and talk to you all day, but we're not going to. You guys give them a big round of applause because you don't get this opportunity.